but behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I have got a gameplay on the brand new map Oasis. This map just came out yesterday. I haven't got to play it a ton. I've played, I think, one competitive game of it. I'm hopefully going to be coming out with that very soon. I think I'm going to do a dual commentary with Mason on that, kind of talk about our the different opinions we have on it, maybe how I'll play the map versus how he'll play the map, how he sees some of the characters he plays, kind of going through it and see how some of the characters I play, kind of how they play on the map. But in the meantime, I kind of wanted to do a gameplay and kind of discuss how I see the map playing, some good character combinations, maybe some characters that really aren't going to work on the map, and then some changes that really don't have to do with the map, but are more changes that are going to be in a patch later coming out in the next few weeks. So, to kind of get into some character combinations I think are going to really work well, I see Reaper, Mei, and Reaper Zarya being a very powerful combination on this map. For the sheer fact of, this map seems to be great for flanking. Now, I have always been a flanker, and I'll almost find a way to flank on any map. I don't care if there's a choke point, I don't care if there's 8 ways to get into it, I'll always be the one that tries to look for the flank. But it just seems like to me that there are so many ways to get into each individual point. For example, on this point, it's a giant circle, and it's not like the circle's enclosed where there's a lot of places to cut off so you can hide behind and you kind of make an artificial choke out of it. Every single one of these areas is interconnected, and it just allows for such a great kind of way of walking around and always being at the back of your enemy. So, as you see here, I was kind of going at it alone as Reaper, seeing if I could do any damage, and I was able to finish off a kill, but the issue was I wasn't able to get out of the battle. Once I got out of it, there was really nowhere for me to go. So I think if you go with a Mei or a Zarya, and you have another person there to kind of either help block you from damage, or to help kind of enable you to get closer to your enemy, I just see that being such a powerful combination. Another good combination I see is being a Pharah and a Mercy. For me, I don't really play either of these characters. I've just been talking to a few people who tend to play Mercy or who will play a Pharah, and they say that this map is perfect for them. I don't know if it's about the openness, I don't know if it's because there are so many different places where they can kind of go and hide, you know, intermittently to kind of keep the soldiers and some of those other characters that are hit scan at bay. Whatever it is, I see so many people just saying that this is going to be a great map for the Pharah and the Mercy combos. Another combination that kind of goes along with the first one is the Mei or Genji and a Mei and a Tracer. This one is just purely annoyance. This is really good on any map, but since the meta kind of changed to become a triple tank, not as many people have been choosing Tracer or have been choosing Genji as well. But with how great the verticality of these maps are and how many kind of lines of sight there are, it seems like the Genjis and the Tracers, it's just going to be so easy for them to get in, get damage down, get out, heal up, and then come back in and just annoy the crap out of your team the entire time. I haven't run into any of these situations yet, but the map is very much in its infancy, and I'm thinking very soon you're going to start seeing a lot of these flanking kind of combinations. The last one I think is just another obvious one would be a Genji and Tracer. For me, that's just the kind of standard, we're just going to annoy the crap out of your team, make you pull your hair out, and possibly make you punch a wall kind of combination. Just, again, with how many flanking positions there are, how many lines of sight there are, it's just easy for them to get in, get out, and do the damage they need without really getting a ton of damage put on them. And I have come across a few no-no heroes that I think are not as effective as they are on other maps. First up is Zenyatta. And for me, this is just purely because there's so many ways to get behind a character now, and he doesn't have much protection. For Zenyatta, he's always a character that's going to be kind of in the back. You know, maybe a good Zenyatta will push up and be more aggressive, but a normal Zenyatta is going to be sitting toward the back of your team, letting you guys take the damage so he's protected, and just throwing those orbs down and trying to get his own damage done. But where I think he kind of lacks now is that there seems to be almost 3 ways to get behind a team now. You can either go straight up the middle and just try to fight him head on. You can go to the left and go around one of these side chokes, or you can go to the right and go one of these right hallways. And with so many different ways to get around, most of these teams aren't going to keep on their toes and keep looking behind them like they really need to be. So for me, it just seems like a no-brainer to take advantage of that. These characters and these teams aren't going to be always looking behind, because all the maps that they've released recently are very head-on maps where you either have to break the choke or one or two characters can go around. With so many characters now, every character can go around these choke points and can go around and find a different way to flank. I just see Yada being extremely vulnerable. By the time he turns around and sees someone there, especially with like a Reaper, it's going to be too late. And then another one I find that is struggling, I've played probably this map 4 or 5 times. Reinhardt seems to have really struggled a lot with this. And I'm going to attribute that just to the fact that his shield isn't going to be as effective with so many different choke points. We were actually in a map, or in a game, where we encountered the Reinhardt, and because I was behind him, I had my friend who was a diva on the left of him, and another friend of mine who was a Zarya on the right of him. He ended up just spinning around like a top. He just decided, he just gave up and started spinning around because he knew there was nothing he was going to do. Just, it's so easy to get behind, as I've been saying, that the Reinhardt, the shield isn't as effective. He can't stop everyone. And I think a player like a diva, or even a Zarya, even the Winston at these times, might actually be more effective than the Reinhardt with a shield, because a Winston shield, as weak as it is, it at least goes 360 and it'll at least be able to block damage from all the way around. Reinhardt, it seems like he's struggling just because he's not able to focus on every single aspect. He keeps getting hit from the back, or he keeps getting hit from the side. And that's kind of where I see the map going. I just see it being a very flanky map. A lot of the maps, especially the most recent one that came out, Eichenwald, they keep putting out these choke point maps, and they keep making you poke at the choke, and it's just kind of adding to the meta of 3 tanks, 2 heal, 1 DPS. And I think that's really what's causing the meta to be really stale. You know, you can't get out of a game or get into a game without seeing a Zarya, a diva, a Reinhardt, and, you know, every now and then a Roadhog, depending on what team you're playing in. Additionally, Soldier's always in the meta again because he's just been so overpowered. Ana has been forced in the meta with how many tanks there are. You normally either have that Lucio for the speed, or you may have a Mercy, but it just seems like such a pain just to get into these games, and because you can't choose any characters. For me, as someone who's a Junkrat or who's a Reaper or who likes to play some out-of-the-meta characters, it's just totally ruined kind of the fun I had in the game, just because I'm not able to get in a game without getting criticized for my pick. And that's where I really like this map. I think that it's going to open the options for you. I think you're going to be able to choose these off-meta characters without getting criticized as much. I think Genji, I think Tracer, even Sombra to an extent, I think they can all do some great things on this map just because there's so many different hallways and places to get in. I mean, if you look at this choke point, the verticality for a Genji or a Pharah, perfect. All these little back hallways and back rooms for a Tracer, Genji, for Reaper and Mei, it's just going to be a feast for all of these characters who people aren't used to seeing. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think Blizzard, if they're not going to make the changes to the individual characters to correct the kind of changes that they made, I think putting out maps like this that gives some of the off-meta heroes more of a forefront in the game a lot, I think it's just going to be a really good thing for the meta. And the last point I want to get into, since it's not going to relate to the gameplay, is the changes in a future patch that's going to be coming out very soon. So, Roadhog is getting a much-awaited patch, and he's getting a nerf. And I'm almost surprised with what they did to Soldier and Diva that it's not a buff. I was almost kind of thinking, that they may buff him and just give him like a ton of damage just because it seems like that's what they've been doing recently. But Roadhog is going to be getting a nerf to his hook. And everyone who's played Overwatch, I know you've had that time where you've been in your spawn, gotten hooked from the other side of the map, thrown through 8 walls, and then killed. Everyone has had those times, and finally something's being done about it. So the official changes to Roadhog and what's coming is, First off, the hook victim will now move in the position directly in front of Roadhog rather than just a straight line toward him. So this means that Roadhog cannot turn once he's hooked you. So if he's at the edge of a map, or if he's toward a place where he's not going to be able to throw you off the edge, essentially. He is going to be able to pull you and just stick him in front of you. So you're not going to get pulled off the edge or spun off the edge on some of these maps, which is going to be fantastic because it's just taking advantage of a broken hook, really. As well, there's now a cap from how far side to side you can be pulled. So you can't just hook someone and spin them and dump them off a cliff. This kind of just goes off of the first point, but in more depth. There's also a few other bug fixes. That the hook is just going to kind of be more consistent as to where the victim gets pulled. So even on Roadhog's side, he's had some inconsistency. And also there's going to be a line of sight check, which essentially if you go behind a wall after you get hooked, the hook is then going to break and you won't get pulled back to where you were and then forward to him, which just made it really overpowered. And even all the hog mains out there have taken advantage of it. So I'm really looking forward to that patch. But thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully Mason and I are going to have a video out very soon. I'm not exactly sure when, but we're either going to talk about the meta and kind of where we think it stands and where we think it needs to go, or we might do some tips and tricks on more of some of the characters Mason plays. So far the channel's been a lot of me, and I apologize for that. I know you guys really want to hear from Mason as well, so hopefully we'll get him on a gameplay and start hearing what he has to say. But thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video. We hope to see you again soon.